Welcome back. A state Supreme Court justice has never been impeached in Wisconsin, and only once has a judge in the state ever faced an impeachment trial. That was back in the 1850s. By the way, he was acquitted. Today, as newly elected Justice Janet Protasiewicz faces controversy for her campaign statements about redistricting, Republican leadership in the legislature, they are not ruling out an impeachment trial. Now, joining me to discuss over the phone, former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice and current Marquette Law School professor Janine Geske. Janine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's start by talking about what does Wisconsin's Constitution say about impeaching a Supreme Court justice?
Well, the Constitution allows the impeachment of a justice or a judge, basically for criminal misconduct, fraudulent misdemeanors, felonies, so serious offenses. The legislature can go ahead and impeach. People ought to understand that impeaching means charging somebody with misconduct. Then there's ultimately a vote as to whether to convict someone or not. And so there's two stages are going to be, I think, particularly important in this case.
So let's put some context here. Senate Leader Devin LeMahieu, a Republican, he told CBS 58 this week he's not ruling out impeachment. Talk to me about how unprecedented that would be if he, as a Senate leader, were to go forward with some kind of trial.
Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, they are, in my view, the legislature is threatening a Supreme Court justice. If she does not do certain things, they're going to vote to impeach her. They are not indicating they're going to impeach her for something she's done in the past. It's really trying to get her to conform to behavior. But, you know, if they would wait until the decision's made, and if she decides not to recuse herself, I don't think it meets the standard, but they could go ahead and impeach her. If they were successful at the charges, the impeachment stage, she can no longer act as a justice until there's a vote in terms of whether there's a conviction or not. And even if she's acquitted, then she could return to her responsibilities as a justice. If she's convicted, she can be removed. But the worrisome here is that it's being used as a mechanism to just get her off of certain cases, particularly the case involving the maps.
Now, you have been a justice. You were appointed by Republicans. You served back in the 1990s. I do want to talk about, Justice Protasiewicz's statements themselves. She called the maps rigged. Do you think those kinds of statements were appropriate from a justice campaigning for this, technically a nonpartisan role?
Well, I have two answers. I don't like it when judicial candidates are talking about potential issues that may come in front of the court. But the United States Supreme Court, in a case called Minnesota versus White, says that a judicial candidate can offer their opinions on issues as long as they do not commit on how they're going to vote on the case. And it's interesting, the Minnesota case involved the Republicans making the claim that First Amendment protect judicial candidates. And I think her comments are clearly within the purview of that was United States Supreme Court. So I don't think that there's a valid argument that she did anything wrong. In fact, I think she's protected by the First Amendment.
So there's a difference, though, between doing something wrong and doing something that perhaps is not best practice. Do you think that's best practice for justices be making those kinds of statements?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I believe that in our very divided society and our very partisan society, this is what's happening to our courts. And there's more and more of people sort of staking their ground either on the right or the left or with a political party. And I don't personally like it. I like courts to be independent. When the old days, when I ran, we tried to get Republicans and Democrats, prosecutors and defense lawyers, insurance lawyers and plaintiffs lawyers all on our campaigns. But now the campaigns have really become divided. And I think it's a natural outcome of it. I don't like it, but I do believe it's protected by the U.S. Supreme Court decision.
Is there any questions that you think this whole conversation around impeachment is missing? Anything that we've missed?
No, except that I think it is outrageous that the Wisconsin legislature is thinking and is now voicing threats to just recently elected Supreme Court justice that if she doesn't do something, they're going to proceed with impeachment and try to get her removed. I think that's outrageous that she was elected. She hasn't even heard a case yet. So, I don't understand it. I understand politically why they're doing it, but I think it's a terrible thing for democracy.
Justice Geske, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We will be right back.